8 months ago, I picked up the new iPhone 16 Pro, and it surprised me. It was a bigger update than I thought, and I think it was the biggest update that they've done for the last 3 generations. 8 months later, and what are my thoughts? On the design front, they have made a few changes compared to the previous generation. The rails are now not brushed, but foggy. It's not shiny, but it's not shiny, if you know what I mean. You also get the added camera button added to the layout. And on the other side, you have the volume rocker and the action button. All things considered, it is an iPhone, which means that it feels absolutely premium. It looks great. However, it is the same design as we've seen for the past 4 years. Onto the screen, and this is actually where I feel they've made one of their biggest improvements. And it's the 0.2 inches on the display. Those 0.2 inches sound really minimal on paper, but it really brings this phone into the Goldilocks zone. The old phone felt a little bit cramped. Now, viewing things, everything feels like it's just about right. I'm quite happy with it, and also quite surprised with how big of a difference that made. In terms of the actual specs, it is quite similar to the previous generation. It doesn't get extremely bright in terms of other flagships. I mean, 2000 nits is nothing special nowadays, but I never had a problem with it viewing outside or anything like that. The major thing here was it's just a bit rounder on the edges due to that increase in body and size, and also the bezels are ever so slightly thinner. Just a lovely experience and perfect size now, which I thought was a huge increase in overall value. Since I use this every day, I'm always looking at the screen, which I like. Internally, we have the beast, the A18 Pro, and it is an absolutely beastly device in terms of what it's capable of. However, I didn't find much use for it on a daily basis on like maximizing the capacity. It doesn't get laggy doing anything. In terms of heating, as iPhones have been a little bit liable to overheating in the past years, it has improved in some aspects and stayed the same in others. For example, when we were taking videos and pictures, it did get fairly toasty. However, in terms of gaming, it ran smoothly, did heat a little bit, but not as much as it did in previous devices. So it's improved, but there is still something to do in terms of shooting and videos. Let's talk about user experience. Now here they've done a lot of work in recent times. We've all been waiting for a little bit of customization and personality. They've added that, and it's a breath of fresh air. You can add widgets and just do a bunch of stuff that is very similar to what you can experience on an Android. A big win. Another critical section of AI has also been added. Here there are some mixed emotions. In terms of summarizing websites, taking pictures and editing those pictures, and also quick notes, it works great. In terms of summarizing notifications, not so great. For example, let's say you have 3 messages from one person. It's able to summarize the gist of those messages and give you useful information at the top, which is great. However, sometimes people send you messages and you haven't been able to reply for several hours or so. Then it's not able to separate the context between the last time that they sent and the first time that they sent the message. And it really gets that stuff confused. So then it's basically, instead of saving you time, you're actually losing time, and that summary becomes useless. Just something that they can improve. Another thing, Siri has actually improved a lot. However, I choose to use Siri deactivated from AI. Because when I give voice prompts through Siri and the AI is activated, it's really difficult to get a straight answer. There's always a question like, okay, you need to open your phone, you need to ask for permission, which is something that I think is a little bit of a shame, because it should enhance the ability to use her rather than making it slower, which I felt was a little bit funky. At this moment, I understand that the integration with AI is early. It's good that it's there for future-proofing because they can fix this with some software updates. but just at this moment I don't feel that it's as useful as it could be. On to the cameras. Now, for the past few generations, there was a little bit of difference between the Pro and Pro Max in terms of camera, especially in terms of zoom. Well, only in terms of zoom. Now the cameras are exactly the same. What you get on the Pro and the Pro Max is identical. We also see improvements in video. 4K 120 FPS is now the limit, which is a pretty good limit to have. It's absolutely smooth. Not that they really needed to improve their video shots, because videography on these phones has always been a blast. In terms of photos, they're absolutely brilliant. One of the best phones on the market has been for some time, and also from our experience, you can have great times just pointing and shooting. The camera button that they've added is a little bit of a controversial topic. It is enjoyable at first when you just see the phone for the first time and you're trying to work through some different methods of shooting, and it's nice to have that response from something at the top, but it's really not useful in the long term. I can't seem to use it in any effective way, and I don't think somebody else will either. That's just my experience with the button. I think they can do a lot better. Apple have never produced the greatest specs on paper for batteries. However, those phones in the real world have worked well. This phone is no different. It lasts you throughout the day, it does a great job. However, it would have been nice to see a silicon carbon battery in one of their phones, especially the Pro models. We didn't get that, however this still makes it through an entire day and lasts sufficiently long. No complaints on the battery. Nice to see that there is some reverse charging, reverse wired, but that could have also been cool if we saw reverse wireless charging. But in general, it does a great job at lasting through the day, even with our heavy usage. $1,000 is still a lot of money, but it's in line with its competitors and it's not more than the previous model. All in all, if you look at this on paper, it seems insane to say that there was a huge difference between this phone and the last version. However, it's something that if you know, you know. I've experienced both of these phones, and for me there is a tangible difference, and it's one of the biggest updates that they've made in recent times. That being said, I don't know what they could do with the iPhone 17 to make a bigger differentiation, because they've kind of already produced the perfect phone. Alright, if you guys enjoyed the video, want to see more of my face, hit the like button, ding the notifications bell, smash the subscribe button, and stick around for more content. Until next time.